Thank you all this morning for joining. And on behalf of Glasford International Partners and our marketing and business development committees, we would like to welcome you to today's presentation. Um, my name is Guy Larivière. I am chairman of Glasford International. And I would like to provide you with an overview of our organization before we start. I thank you. So today's program or the seminar will be based on the study that was conducted in last January. Glasford International, we've been established in 1998 as a global executive search organization. And what makes us different is that we're based with strong local expertise with offices located across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. We do specialize in executive search as well as leadership and personal assessments at the international, cross-border, and local level. I would like to introduce Dr. Joanna Settlemyer, who is representing Glasford International Deutschland, to run you through with a short introduction about today's presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Guy. First of all, some organizational notes that I would like to address. The talk will take about 30 to 35 minutes. And if you have any questions, please put them down below in the chat function. And yeah, we will do our best to answer them afterwards, depending, of course, on the volume of the questions. If they are too many, then we will also write you emails at the end of the day, and you will also, of course, get the presentation or as a document afterwards. Yeah, now I'm very happy to kick off this webinar and to present you today with my colleagues the insights of our study. Yeah, about the study, yeah, it was a global project that we conducted with our partners, to which we invited different manufacturers. And the goal was to gather insights about how human resource management strategies will change in post-COVID times, and also what trends we can derive for the future. And therefore, it is important to identify, of course, the critical challenges and to learn about possible innovative and successful solutions. Understanding these results is also, of course, for us as a company, a key factor so that we can consult manufacturers in the best possible way. And so exactly how can we help you? Well, this is by sharing best practices about 3 points. The first one is sharing which initiatives are working in business operations, for example. The second one are the people management strategies. And the third one are IT investments. So our purpose was to provide you with a comprehensive overview from which you can draw valid and reliable conclusions. And what was our methodology with it? We invited different participants from the manufacturing sector to answer a survey that we developed at the end of last year. And I think that's a very interesting fact to see where our participants come from. As you can see, about 60% are Europe-based, and the other 40% come from the Americas and Asia. And also, other point was what is the profile of the participants that took part in this study. As you see, almost half of them are in a top management level. Around a third are directors, and another 13% are in a management position, and the last 8% are experts. So now we would like to go more into detail regarding the questions and the results. And so Guy, please provide us with the numbers.
Thank you very much, Joanna. First of all, before I go through the answers to the questions that were that you answered for us, I must say that we must understand the overall chart that is presented in front of you, because what's important is that the entire committees, both committees, have made sure to back up our results with actual trends. And so at the bottom of each slides that you'll be seeing, you have a source of a study or an essay that was done, a recent essay confirming the trend that we've observed through your question, your answers. Um, Also, what is very revealing about this study is that the answers were similar from Europe, Americas, and also Asia. So for one of the first time, because this is our third study that we make, for the first time, we don't see discrepancies among continents through this post-pandemic period. So I think this is key to understand. It's very exciting to see the results. So we put 15 questions in our survey, and you've all answered them, and I will give you the highlights of these answers. Question number one was about the biggest challenge that you had to manage your business during the last year. Over 60% talked about, answered by saying it was the change in demand, high supplier costs, and also government lockdowns, which all caught us by surprise. So we weren't um, expecting these changes, and therefore um, this resulted in major challenges as having to deal with being able to meet the demand. So COVID-19 exposed weaknesses in most of our global supply chains, and this is what you came up with. Question number two: most urgent activities that your company is working on to redefine your model, your business model. More than 64% of you realize that we must invest into digitalization and new technologies. We must look at people development and learning, and develop our own staffs to be able to meet these growing needs. And we are facing, for the first time in our history, for our business model, the phenomenon of remote work and the new way of working outside the office. So I think the thing to remember is that hybrid virtual model that combines remote work with time in the office is the new way to look at the business. When we talk about new smart society 5.0, and the most important, which is connect people and business needs, just a brief overview about new smart society. There are four key elements that you must remember about new smart society, the definition. When you talk about the new smart society, we talk about sharing knowledge and info to everyone. So there's no more specific information for finance, for production, for it has to be fluent information to everyone. You have to overcome social constraints in a new smart society. That means aging is no more an issue, for example. And you have to involve your organization, invest into your organization for robotics to free your organization from human resource handling, manpower handling. And finally, to be able to be a new smart society, you have to have AI or artificial intelligence to increase data analytics. This is the definition of new smart society. But if you look at our answers, which is very revealing, 48% talked about being more open-minded, being more empathic to listening, empowering others. Empowerment becomes extremely important, and aim your company in developing a leadership based on performance and managing this performance. But at the same time, you have close to 30% who answered that you have to use technology and teach your people how to use technology. So what's important to remember is that the development and enhancement of soft skills will be key to connecting business to people needs until now and by 2030. When we look at new changes that should be implemented in your company, 54% of you responded that we require to have more investment into technological tools. We need to develop training initiatives and redefine organizational procedures and processes. But at the same time, 25% of you responded that sustainability projects and a good retention policy are also key to implement in your company. Automation and 3D technology boost industry's agility and flexibility. When we ask you about your upcoming strategic plan, how you'll manage remote work versus office work for all levels in the organization, 88% of you responded that hybrid remote working will be there to stay. Only 9% answered that full office work for you will be important, and 3% talked about full remote work. I think the answers are very clear. The future will be more hybrid. Communication. If you look at question 2, some of the answers that you provided to us were about internal communication, the new smart society being we must communicate to everyone. Well, certainly the post-pandemic we've learned at least 61% of our answers were we must work on engagement and employee motivation and make sure to find the right communication tools to get them on board. We've had to communicate even more with COVID information, so not to leave people in the dark with all the changes in the legislations that affected our workplace. And most of all, we need a strong leadership to give guidance to the team because at least 20% of your answers talked about team cohesion and collaboration and recognition and praise. So the answers that came out provided us with this quote: the right tools to communicate new ways to influence and manage is the way to the future. Retention. We talk about labor shortages around the world. It's true for all of our clients, all of our manufacturers around the world. So what will be the strategy that you will adopt to retain your top talents? 79%, 79% talk about developing new work-life balance policies or initiatives, set up training programs to stimulate and support people development, and facilitate internal mobility uh, to access company's position. Undermining under those answers is that, you know what? We never really placed a lot of importance in developing work-life balance policies because we had to face demand and supply. But we have to stop and think about how we will work it out and make sure that all our talents that we have, that we set and stimulate programs for them to develop themselves within our organization. Helping employees find a purpose, or at least if you don't do that, watch them leave. Values. So we've seen through our clients at Glasford International how much values are important, how they've been modified and changed over the last 2 years with what we went through. Did your company change or modify your values, and which ones were there? Well, 86%, 86% of you answered leadership to have integrity, transparency, and show passion as extremely important for us to put as number one of our values. Continue to innovate and improve will also lead us as an organization to be better. Finally, commit to your clients and customers. The intersection of values and technology, as you've seen in your answers, is a very important, are very important values to be put forward if you want to face the upcoming challenges of delivering your goods. What about board members? And you'll see later on that the board members see one thing, leader implements other things sometimes. But the question was, what will your board members and your leaders implement to address diversity and inclusion in the workplace? On question number 2, some of the answers talked about diversity and inclusion, and they were identified as strong activities to redefine the business model. When you come to question number 9, 59% of you responded that we have to hire diversity. We have to eliminate biases in evaluation processes. That means that it undermines that our processes are not neutral enough and direct enough. And we must build a multi-generational workforce. As you all know, every time someone leaves, we talk about the hard disk leaving, and sometimes we don't have apprenticeship mechanisms within our organization to allow this transfer of knowledge with the upcoming managers. So a mix of old and new is something we are starting to hear not only in Europe or Asia or Americas, it's around the world. And for the first time, if I may add, we're talking about having multi-cultural organizations with guidelines. So we hire from around the world, but we don't necessarily integrate the people having all the right tools to make them live through the organization and integrate themselves freely. Sustainability was brought up, and which action and initiative has your company implemented? As you see, 46% of you talked about we focused on in the environment, and 33%, so 79% talked about social implications and sustainable projects. 19% talk about ethics. So sustainability is a major attraction strategy because more and more people are looking at organization manufacturers that focus on sustainability. In your opinion, which of the following technology areas Industry 4.0 will be the greatest importance for your company? As you know, Industry 4.0 puts together 4 elements: people, process, strategy, and technology. So we are focusing right now about technology, and 75% of the respondents talked about robotics, artificial intelligence. We must invest, we must put greater importance into data analytics and cybersecurity. There's an increasing need to gain actionable insight from such a massive amount of data. Big data, emerging hot techniques in Industry 4.0. About technology again and digital transformation strategies, which one would your company implement? Well, the good news is in the answers, 43% of you said we must implement new communication platforms. From this platform will lead to invest into new CRM, ERP systems, and have a better cloud computing system. As you know, cloud is very secured for organization to keep all data going. Online platform use increased by around 20% as platforms allow business and households to continue to produce and work during lockdowns. Companies that had communication platforms established, I wouldn't say breeze through the pandemic, but had less difficulty going through and meeting the demand. We're coming to the last part of the exercise, and I would say one of the most revealing one in the questions. When you ask, as you saw initially when we started this survey, we 47% of our participants are key executives, senior levels, VPs, presidents. So we asked, out of your total operations budget, what percentage of it will be dedicated to IT for the next 2 years? Well, we were shocked to see that 69% mentioned less than 25%. Only 20% said we're going to increase our budget from 25 to 50%. And only 2% of our respondents said that they were investing anywhere between 50 to 75%. Worldwide IT spending is projected to total 4.2 trillion in 2021, an increase of 8.6% from 2020, according to the latest forecast. So we know we need IT, yet we're not sure we're going to put it on our operations budget. That's what the answers were saying. Looking over last year, which technologies have you incorporated to strengthen your relationship with your clients? I hear you and I see you, and we all know that one of the success stories were Amazon, who was able to have enough inventory to deliver goods during the fact that we were all locked down in our houses. Well, you all mentioned that at least 88% of you mentioned that we must improve our website and extend our online reach. We must improve accessibility to customer support, because when you don't deal with live customers, you have to have it easy for them to talk to you, and offer online seminars, training, especially regarding product and services. 38% of people will stop engaging with a website if the content or layout is unattractive. Whether adopt on Twitter, judgments on companies' credibility are 75% based on the company's website design. Let's talk about automation and digitalization. To what extent are they already in your production cycle? Again, we are a long way from being what we should be as an organization, as manufacturers, because only 36% of the respondents said that it's been implemented below from 0 to 25%. 25% of you responded that they've implemented it from 25 to 50% implementation. And I would say 25% are 50% and over implemented, which is very good. But what's bothering to us really is that 14% of the respondents had no answer, so we assumed that there was no interest to implement. The unique advantages of smart manufacturing and automating the factory floor and incorporating new services into all kinds of products will make it a must-have in the post-COVID area. So following those 15 questions and the answers and the results we just gave you, I think we must put down our conclusion and observations into 3 categories. Number 1, what did manufacturers perceive as challenge? Number 2, how will manufacturers' people management strategies change? And number 3, What technologies will be required to face the future? Key learning about manufacturers' perception as the key challenges is that we should take the steps to prevent, in any event, what would force a shutdown partially or totally for the entire operation. We were all caught with our pants down because we had major crisis in various departments, and that is supply chain. Supply chain strategies. Make sure you have more than one supplier. The GM Vice International #2 position in the United States stated 2 weeks ago, because we were stuck with accounting figures of managing low inventory of $500,000 per plant facilities, it cost General Motors $50 million of backlog. Because we had only one supplier for one product and it's now in a container somewhere on the ocean, we lost $50 million. So we must look over our supply chain strategy. We must increase our investment in internet access, digitalization, so that we could reach both people working, people buying remotely, and increase our communication with our clients. E-commerce. A lot of companies, manufacturers have not developed e-commerce. And the big data. The big data for changing our operation, we need to be more aware of our clients' needs, our customers' needs, and be more agile. So that requires artificial intelligence, that requires all sorts of new technologies for us to analyze big data. How will the manufacturer's people management strategies change? But what we found out during this study is that manufacturers, for the first time really after the Industrial Revolution, let me say, found how fragile their facilities were without the commitment and loyalty of their human resources. How the leadership of their executives, through their integrity, transparency, and passion in their communication, remains at the center of all initiatives. More specifically, they must make a very clear policy and plan of inclusion, diversity, and training in the heart of a retention strategies. A strong multi-generational workforce is key to meeting the main challenges they face. An article yesterday in a major newspaper mentioned that the key to go through this crisis of scarcity of labor in all levels of an organization is definitely to have this multi-generational workforce and training involved. We must initiate more internal, invest into development plans for all our managers and redefine the organizational development procedures and process. Young managers coming in, and us in our experience at Glasford, we see this. They all ask the same question when we presented them a mandate for an executive level. Where will this position bring me? How will this company be able to develop me versus company B, who's now asking me to work for them? Increased communication process by better cohesion, contributing to mobilizing and getting people to collaborate. Manufacturers who have not been able to do this clearly during the post-pandemic and post-pandemic are struggling right now because they need to work on their communication and message so that people all work on the same, are all in the same part. And finally, hybrid work is there to stay. Invest in technology and define expectation. That's a key challenge. We've seen some of our clients go against this wave, and they face up with a 25% vacancy rate because people leave the organization, and they still don't want to understand that other companies are, other manufacturers are offering hybrid work. What technologies will be required to face the future? major investments in robotics, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. As you see right now, we've got major cybersecurity problems with major manufacturers around the world. I don't know if it's related. I'm not going into details as to who does what pirating is being done, but this could stop an entire company from working. Manufacturers have had the most success getting through this pandemic, have invested massively into technologies. Additive manufacturing, cloud technologies, new ERP and CRM systems. You know when we receive mandates from our clients, this becomes extremely important about the knowledge of the future managers, understanding the new ERP and CRM system. There is a movement towards this. Uh, Improve the website that extended online reach so that we could make sure that we are always close to our clients, customers. More and more managers or young executives are looking for an organization that really has a social footprint and environmental sustainability policies. So this forces manufacturers to redefine their footprint and finally move from implementing 25% to 75% the rollout of new IT in our organization so that we could increase our speed to market. We are now at the question period. We shall take the time to answer your question that was on the chat during the presentation. We will get back to you because we have your coordinates, so we'll be able to send you personally the answers to your questions. I would like to thank you all our participants. And today is magic because we have people participating around the world, people who got up very early in the Americas and people who are getting late uh, in the Asian part of our world. Glasford International Partners, we are very grateful for your contribution to this study. We are extremely thankful for your participation and trust in our organization. We really hope that the results that we've given you today will provide you guidance in your human resource strategies in the near future. And we are more than confident that all your actions that we and these various insights that we've given you today follow worldwide trends in putting in place those best practices. We will be sending you a copy of this presentation for you to have on hand. Many thanks to Glasford International Business Development and Marketing Committee members for their participation. Thank you, Joanna from Glasford International Deutschland. Thank you, Iliada from Glasford International Deutschland also. Stefania from Glasford International Italy. Anna from Glasford International Poland. And Nancy from Glasford International Canada for participating, working hard since last May to produce this study for all our manufacturers involved here today. Thank you for your participation and speak to you soon.